Now, I wonder if you've ever tried to get into the police academy, tried to get into the police force. What happened? The force is struggling to attract recruits at the moment. There's low numbers at the academy, not as many applications on the books as they'd like. And they've acknowledged that there is an increased attrition level, or there was an increased attrition level in the 12 months to November last year. Attrition was at 4.7%, much higher than where it normally sits, around 3.6%. They're blaming that in part on the high number of officers who held off retiring during the pandemic. So then when they've all gone in one fell swoop, it's pushed the attrition rate a bit higher. And they say it's stabilised in recent months, but they are on a recruitment blitz. They do need more applications, more recruits coming through. They launched some ads back in October, and I understand they're about to trial a new exam option where you can do the test online anywhere, a bit like the learner driver test, I guess. I was keen to get some expert advice on what sort of things would attract people to this as a career. I ask if people are currently considering it as a career. On the line is Sue Elson, a career expert. Sue, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Hello, Heidi.
What would you say to someone if they came in to say, I'm thinking about a career in the police force?
Well, I would look at really a number of ways that they could get some sort of introduction to it. So, obviously, if you go to the police website, there's a lot of information there. Sadly, it only talks about getting the full career, not joining a civilian role as a public servant. It also is saying that you can't do voluntary work and you can't do internships. But if you had some of those other options available, you could get the taste test, you could understand a little bit more about it. But the actual application process is pretty detailed, and I think that would actually put a lot of people off as well.
Do you have people asking you about it as a career choice?
Look, I did meet a police officer, and he said the reason he wanted to join the police force was so he could drive fast cars. So, that was his motivation. And look, I find that a lot of people who work in defence, police or those sort of emergency services roles, they usually have family and friends who are in a similar role. So they've got some sort of exposure to it and they've heard a little bit about it. When I was working in banking, we found our best recruits were friends and family of existing bank employees. So that is, definitely a good segue. But if the advertising campaigns start up, I think they'd probably need to dispel some of the myths. Now, one of the myths that I think is in regular use is, it's dangerous to work in the police force. You could get killed on the job. Well, sadly, there are many people who are killed at work, and most of them are killed in the industries of manufacturing and construction in Victoria. So, you'd want to dispel that myth. You'd also want to focus on some of the positives. So, for example, you get 9 weeks leave if you join the police force. You get that camaraderie, that being part of something or wearing the uniform, and you actually get a lot of transferable skills that you could use in another career, no matter how long you stay there.
Is that the solution then, to pick up on what you were saying first there, is to ask current members of the force to recommend it to family and friends as possibly a more effective thing than just broad strokes advertising campaigns?
I would absolutely agree with that. And some organisations, they actually offer a financial incentive if, you recommend somebody who then becomes a successful applicant and stays for a length of time in that organisation. So that could definitely be a way to do it. And they can talk to what the job is really like. I would also like to say that if you look at the structure of the police force, and all organisations are changing all the time, but if you could say, look, here's some more jobs that we can make as civilian jobs rather than, fully qualified police officer jobs, that could perhaps ease the stress of some of them who've got all this paperwork that they have to complete, and it could give other people an introduction to the police force that says, right, now I want to get my hands dirty and, be out on the street and do those other policing duties.
I wonder what you think of this idea. The state government did flag before the election their new State Electricity Commission idea. Part of the scheme will involve sending reps to every state school careers night to try to lure the school leavers into trades, into renewable energy trades, to build this workforce as they go along. Is that the next step for police? Should they be getting into that sort of space, going to every careers night? I mean, do they already? Or
I'm not aware of that, but as I said earlier, they don't offer voluntary work, they don't offer internships, but they do offer work experience. Now, those work experience placements are coordinated at the station level, and most stations, I imagine, would be particularly busy. So I would suggest perhaps having a central work experience coordination unit that liaised with careers advisors and those sorts of people and kept them updated on the work experience placements that are available throughout the year at different times. That could be a really effective way, because a lot of careers teachers have difficulties getting students into placements, whereas if there was a coordinated approach available through some central unit at VicPol, then that could, definitely help encourage a few more people to see it.
The Police Minister did tell our newsroom this morning that the current recruitment campaigns are paying dividends, but I don't think that is actually the case. Tell me, what are the more popular of the career choices these days for younger people, for school leavers?
Well, if they're watching the, average number of 43 hours a month on TikTok, they've probably decided they'd like to do a side hustle and sign up for some little program where they automatically get paid and they can stay on the couch. Now, the Australian Bureau of Statistics has actually indicated that 20% of the workforce went to work from home during the pandemic, and they suspect that ongoing it's going to be 15%. So if you've got a lot more people who would like to be working from home, and that's all ages, not just young people, but older people as well, then I think some of those roles could be helpful to offer as well.
So sort of desk jobs, white collar, business services, those sorts of roles you're thinking. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sue Elson there, career expert, sueelson.com. Tell me, have you ever tried to get into the police force? And if so, how did it go? Did you manage to get in? Was there a stumbling block? What was it? 18 minutes past 4, back in a moment.